It started with panic. Millions of fans across the world woke up one March morning, opened YouTube, and saw something that made their stomachs drop. The biggest tech channel on the planet, Linus Tech Tips, was gone. Well, not gone exactly, but it wasn't Linus anymore. The channel name had been changed to Tesla. The profile photo was Elon Musk's face. The live stream running at that moment promised a once-in-a-lifetime crypto giveaway. Send us Bitcoin and we'll double it. It looked real, it sounded real, and it was everywhere. This was no clickbait stunt. Linus Tech Tips, along with sister channels Tech Linked and Tech Quickie, had been hacked. Now, here's the thing. This wasn't some small channel with a few thousand subscribers. We're talking about a tech empire, tens of millions of followers, a massive staff, a multi-million-dollar company, and yet, in a matter of minutes, someone halfway across the world had taken control. So, what happened? It all started when an employee at Linus Media Group received what looked like a legitimate sponsorship email. Totally normal, LTT gets dozens of those a day. The sponsor sent over a PDF file, supposedly with campaign details. But hidden inside that file was a Trojan, a malicious program that silently grabbed the login credentials from that computer. And once the hackers had access, they moved fast. They didn't just take the main channel, they hit everything. Short Circuit, Tech Linked, Tech Quickie, all renamed, all filled with crypto scams. Fans started flooding social media with screenshots, tagging Linus, tagging YouTube, begging someone to fix it, and then silence. For hours, the channel stayed under hacker control. The fake live streams pulled in tens of thousands of viewers. Some people even fell for it, sending money to the fake Tesla wallet addresses. It was chaos. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Linus and his team were in full crisis mode. They contacted YouTube directly, working through Google's emergency recovery protocols. And eventually, hours later, the channels were taken offline entirely. Everything disappeared. When LTT finally came back online, Linus posted a video explaining everything. You could see the exhaustion in his face. He walked viewers through exactly how the hack happened, admitted how shockingly easy it was, and called out the need for stronger creator protections. "We got complacent," he said, "and we paid for it." The internet's reaction was a mix of sympathy and disbelief. People couldn't understand how one of the most tech-savvy teams in the world could fall for a phishing email.
And I can almost feel your thoughts through the screen right now.
Linus, truly, after all these lectures about two-factor authentication, don't you even protect your own accounts?
Of course I do, but while strong passwords and multi-factor authentication are very powerful security measures that you should use, they're not impenetrable.
But others saw it differently. Proof that no one, not even Linus Tech Tips, is truly safe online. In the aftermath, LTT implemented stricter cybersecurity measures, added hardware authentication, and even made a video teaching creators how to avoid the same fate. And that's why this hack mattered so much. It wasn't just a temporary embarrassment. It was a wake-up call, a reminder that even the biggest, smartest, most secure creators on YouTube can lose everything with one careless click. Because sometimes all it takes to bring down an empire is one PDF. But getting hacked wasn't the only crisis Linus Tech Tips would face. In fact, just months later, another controversy would shake the channel even harder. It was supposed to be just another product review, one of hundreds Linus Tech Tips had done over the years. But this time, a single video would ignite one of the biggest feuds in tech YouTube history and force the most powerful name in the space to face a hard truth about speed, ethics, and trust. It all began in August 2023. Linus Tech Tips had uploaded a review of a prototype GPU water block made by a small company called Billet Labs. It was meant to be a moment of exposure for a tiny, ambitious startup. Their custom cooler featured an insane all-metal design that looked like something out of a sci-fi movie. But what happened next would become a nightmare for both sides. In the review, Linus tested the prototype, except he didn't use the right GPU. The cooler had been built for one specific model, but LTT, pressed for time and working at their usual rapid pace, used a different one entirely. The results? Predictably bad. The product ran hotter than expected, and Linus dismissed it on camera as a waste of money. That alone might have been forgotten. But the real spark came a few days later. Instead of returning the prototype, LTT auctioned it off at a company event, a one-of-a-kind engineering sample the creators had trusted them with. Sold off for laughs. Enter Gamers Nexus. Steve Burke, the host of Gamers Nexus, uploaded a 40-minute video titled "The Problem with Linus Tech Tips." It wasn't a simple critique, it was an exposé. Steve laid out example after example of what he called careless testing, factual errors, and lapses in ethics. The tone wasn't angry, it was surgical, and that made it even more devastating. Within hours, the video exploded. Viewers began dissecting every claim, forums lit up, Reddit threads went viral. For the first time, the seemingly untouchable empire of Linus Tech Tips looked vulnerable. Then Linus responded. In a video titled "We're Not Perfect, But We Try," he admitted to mistakes, but also pushed back. He said the auction had been an honest miscommunication, not malice, that they were growing too fast and had lost control of the process. But many felt the apology didn't go far enough. The pressure mounted until Linus Media Group announced something shocking. They were halting all production for a week. No new videos, no uploads, nothing. Inside that silence, something shifted. The internet started asking bigger questions about burnout, about ethics in influencer reviews, and about whether entertainment had overtaken accuracy. When LTT finally returned, Linus looked different, humbled, serious. He promised reforms, a dedicated testing team, stricter review standards, and an open-door policy for accountability. In the end, this wasn't just about one bad review. It was about what happens when a creator empire grows faster than its foundation can handle. Because in the tech world, credibility is everything. And in that week of silence, Linus Tech Tips learned a hard lesson. You can build an empire on speed and charisma, but if you lose the audience's trust, it all starts to overheat. But even as the dust from that controversy began to settle, another storm was brewing, one that would cut deeper than any product review ever could. It started with a single post, a few paragraphs from a former employee, and within hours, the internet turned on one of the biggest tech empires on YouTube. In August 2023, Linus Tech Tips was already under fire. Just days earlier, the Gamers Nexus controversy had rocked the channel's reputation. But then, out of nowhere, a former employee named Madison Reeve came forward with allegations that would take things to a whole new level. She claimed that during her time at Linus Media Group, the company behind Linus Tech Tips, she'd faced harassment, a toxic work culture, and emotional neglect. In her words, the environment had been chaotic, exhausting, and demeaning. She described experiences of being ignored, mistreated, and pushed beyond her limits in what she called a boys' club atmosphere. And then she dropped the most shocking part, that the stress and emotional toll had gotten so bad she turned to self-harm. That post spread like wildfire. Reddit threads exploded. Tech news outlets picked it up within hours. For years, Linus and his team had been known as the wholesome, hard-working faces of tech YouTube, goofy, nerdy, and down to earth. But now their fans were asking, was it all a facade? The allegations painted a picture that didn't match the friendly, family-like image LMG had always projected. It wasn't just one bad experience. Madison's words implied a deeper problem, a culture that rewarded speed and productivity over mental health and safety. As the story spread, other former and current employees began posting their own experiences, some supporting Madison, others defending the company. It was chaos. Everyone had a story. Everyone had an opinion. Linus stayed silent at first, but soon the pressure was too heavy to ignore. He released a statement saying he took the claims seriously and that the company would be conducting an internal review. Within days, Linus Media Group announced something even bigger, an independent third-party investigation. That decision calmed things slightly, but the damage was done. Sponsors began watching closely. Fans grew divided. Some stood by Linus, believing the company would never intentionally allow that kind of behavior. Others felt betrayed, convinced the smiling face of tech YouTube had been hiding something darker all along. Months passed. Then, in May 2024, the investigation's findings were released. According to the third-party firm, the claims of sexual harassment and abuse of power were not substantiated. LMG said they were sharing the results transparently and would still take steps to improve their workplace, more HR oversight, better communication, and mental health resources for employees. But even with that conclusion, not everyone was satisfied. For some, the controversy had already rewritten how they saw Linus Tech Tips. Because this story wasn't just about one person's experience, it was about what happens when a YouTube channel becomes a corporation. When a passion project turns into a business with dozens of employees, growing faster than its culture can adapt. Linus has since continued to lead the company, more cautious, more measured, and very aware that trust, once lost, takes years to rebuild. And maybe that's the real takeaway here. In the end, the biggest threat to a creator empire isn't a competitor or a bad review. It's the people inside it who start to feel unheard. So what do these three controversies tell us about Linus Tech Tips? That even the most successful, most technically skilled creator empires aren't immune to crisis. A single phishing email can hijack your entire brand. A rushed product review can spark a war with your peers. And a toxic workplace culture, even if unintentional, can destroy trust faster than any algorithm ever could. Linus Media Group survived all three, but survival came at a cost. Stricter protocols, public apologies, independent investigations, and a reputation that will forever be marked by 2023, the year everything went wrong at once. Through it all, Linus and his team kept going. They didn't shut down, didn't hide, and didn't pretend nothing happened. They faced the fire, made changes, and tried to rebuild. Because that's the reality of running a creator empire in the modern age. You're not just making videos anymore, you're running a business, managing people, protecting your brand, and doing it all under the microscope of millions of viewers who expect perfection. And when you slip, even once, the internet never forgets. And that's it for today's video. What do you think about the Linus Tech Tips controversies? Were the responses adequate or should more have been done? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing different takes. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with someone who'd find it interesting too. It really helps the channel grow, and it keeps me motivated to bring you even more wild stories like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.